It's time to install the snap fasteners in our project. And in order to get these buttons and these eyelets into the material, you need to poke a hole through the nylon. In the past I've just used awls or pocket knife and just kind of worked a hole through, but it's actually just a lot easier, and the material comes out a lot better if you use a little heat. So I like to just take a screw, hold it with my Leatherman. A nail would actually be better, but I couldn't find a nail with the right diameter laying around, so I'm just using a screw this time. And I just heat it up over the stove or whatever source of heat you could find. Just get it nice and hot. In order to avoid making mistakes, I went ahead and marked some X's where I plan to make these holes for the buttons and the eyelets. Sure, some safety equipment would be a good idea at this point, but I'll just try and be careful. A lot simpler than trying to dig at it with a knife like I used to do. This next part feels a little dangerous. I've got my hand inside the bag against the back panel here with my fingers on either side of this X, and I'm going to try and poke this hot screw through that X. But I want to make sure I'm not damaging the mesh pocket behind the back panel, or I definitely don't want to burn myself. So in retrospect, it might have been a better idea to install the snap fasteners before doing this, before completing the bag. I've never done it that way. It's never really been a problem, but I've never really made a bag at these dimensions before. For safety's sake, you probably don't want to push too hard. You mostly just want to let the hot screw do the work. Just let it melt through. If you're forcing it too much, you're gonna end up shoving the thing through your finger or something. Alright, somehow we managed to poke all 10 holes without burning ourselves or destroying the project. And I've confirmed that the eyelets will fit through. So now it's time to get started installing our snap fasteners. I've gone over this before in another video some time ago, but I'll just reiterate. To install these snap fasteners, you got 4 pieces, and you got the tool. You got your anvil, which has a side for the button and a side for the eyelet. You got your flaring tool. You're going to strike the end of that with a hammer. And you've got your eyelet. You've got your stud. These are going to go on the bag itself. And we've also got our button and our socket, and those are going to go on the strap. It's a windy day, so I apologize if the wind's blowing into the microphone right now. But I've said it before, and I'll say it again. You want to make sure you've got all the components in the correct order before you set these, because once you set them, they're extremely hard to remove without destroying. You could end up destroying the project. you definitely want to make sure the socket is facing the right way when you set it. I've set one backwards by accident, and it made a lot of work for me to remove it and set a new one. So I'm going to start by setting the anvil on the ground, and I've got the eyelet pushed through the bag, and I'm going to set the eyelet on top of the anvil. And now I want the stud to go on top of that. Just going to take the flaring tool and give it a tap. You really just want to make sure that you give it enough taps that it's not loose. You don't want anything spinning around or wiggling. You just want it secure. You don't want to go overkill on it. So that's the stud. Now we got to do the socket and the button. So we'll flip the anvil around and we'll push our button through the actual strap. This time we'll set our button on the anvil. Now we want to make sure the socket's facing the correct direction. Put that on top. Once again, take the flaring tool, just give it a couple of taps. Like I said, the socket feels a little loose right now, so I'll just give it 1 or 2 more taps. See how that feels. That's much better. You can kind of hear a rattle sometimes if you don't have it set correctly. So just 4 more of those and we're done. So we're all done installing those snap fasteners. I put my poncho liner in here just so we can see it full. It's actually pretty overstuffed, but it'll hold a poncho liner. So if you need a place to put your whoopee, consider making one of these bags. But there's one last thing I want to do, and that's put some paracord on the zipper tabs. I think that'll be the length I want right there. So we'll just pull this other end through. Maybe a little bit more because I'm going to tie an overhead nut in this. Okay. Use our barbecue lighter. Looks like we're right under a vent. These pull tabs will just really make it easier to open and close the zippers when you're wearing gloves. You don't have to be wearing gloves, it just makes things easier in general. So there's one. While off camera, I just pulled this one off and cut this other one to the same length. And then reinstalled the other one. So So I'm just going to go through that hole of the zipper. Make sure we're focused here. And back through this top hole there. The other one through the other way. And just tie an overhand knot. Try that again. I think you get the idea though. Probably could have cut these a little bit longer, but I don't want them too long. And there we go. So that pretty much completes this project. So there's what it looks like attached to the main bag. So I think all in all, I'm pretty happy with this project, the way it turned out. There's our interior pocket. Store some small objects in there. See if I can shove this livy back in there. It's like the Tartarus, I guess, bigger on the inside. No, I'm not a Doctor Who fan. I just happen to know that reference. Okay, so our project's done, but I think I'm going to make one more video. First I'm going to gather my thoughts and write them down, but I'm going to go over some things I could have done different or will do different if I ever make this bag again. And I'll just kind of give you an idea, an update on how it worked out for me, if it's the whole thing fell apart at all or if it survived.